Welcome viewers. In this video, we will discuss the magnetic effects of steady current. Now let us begin with Lorentz force. Suppose in a region of space, we have a magnetic field B pointing inwards from the plane of the board. Now a charge plus Q say is moving with a velocity V towards the positive x direction. Also, assume that there is an electric field at a certain arbitrary direction. Now the total force is given by QE plus QV cross B. Now you see this part of the force arises from the electric field, and that is a part of electrostatics. Now in our further discussions we will only be concerned with the magnetic field, so we'll continue with the magnetic part of the force, and let's denote it by Fm equals to QV cross B. Now see, the force is a cross product between the velocity and the magnetic field. So apply right hand screw rule here. So twist from the direction of V to the direction of B, and the screw proceeds in the positive Z direction. So the force Fm will be directed along the positive Z direction. Because of this, there will be a component of velocity along this direction. Along with the initial velocity, this will produce the resultant velocity, say somewhat along this direction, the new velocity. Now at the next instant, say the particle is here. Again at this point, considering the instantaneous velocity here, the magnetic force will again be directed perpendicular to the velocity at this point. So again there will be a resultant velocity somewhat along this direction. So this process will continue, and the net effect will be the charge particle will follow a circular path. So see here, we have considered the initial velocity of the charge particle to be exactly perpendicular to the direction of the field B. Now if in case the initial velocity is at a certain angle less than 90 degree with the direction of the velocity, then we can break down the velocity into two components. One is exactly perpendicular to the direction of the field, and another component will be along the direction of the field. So the perpendicular component will have the same effect as we have already discussed. So it will produce a circular motion of the electron, while the component along the direction of the B will simply provide a superimposing velocity, and the net effect will be the particle will follow a helical path along the direction of the field B. In the circular motion that we have considered in the previous case, the force, magnitude of the force QVB, this amount of force actually provides the centripetal force for the circular motion of the electron. So now we have already started using the term, using the symbol B. So let's mention the terminology that we normally use for B. It is loosely often called as the magnetic field vector. While in more specific terms, B is called magnetic flux density. It is also called magnetic induction. We will later on see the importance of these two terms further in our lecture. Now from Lorentz force, the Lorentz force equation, we can define the unit and dimension of B. So crudely, B is the force divided by Q V. So the unit will be Newton divided by Coulomb meter per second. Rearranging, it will give ampere meter. So this is one unit of B. From this we can also write down the dimension. In the numerator we have mLt minus 2. In the denominator we have I and L. So the dimension will be so this is the dimension of the field B. Now force on a current carrying conductor. So let us consider a cylindrical metallic conductor. Within this conductor, let us consider two dotted circles, and we will be concerned with the region in between these two circles. Let dl be the length of the region, this shaded region. Within this conductor, say the charged particles, say plus q, are moving with velocity v along the positive x direction. There is also a magnetic field B along a certain arbitrary direction. A is the cross section of the cylinder. Also, let n be the number density of the charged particles within the conductor. dl, as I already mentioned, is the length of the element of the cylinder, the shaded region. V is the velocity of the particles. Q is the charge of the particles. And B is the magnetic field in the region of space. So now, what will be the volume of this section of the cylinder? That will be simply A multiplied by dl. Now, what will be the total number of charge within this volume? Simply multiply this by capital N. And what will be the total charge? Simply multiply this by Q. So this is the total charge within this length element. Now, Q V cross B is the force acting on a single charge particle. Now for the total charge, the total force acting will be NAQ dl V cross B. Now see, this velocity V is essentially the drift velocity. On the charged particles. Now see, in a metal, the electrons actually perform random motions being scattered with the fixed atoms of the metal. But when a current flows, there is a superimposed net velocity along the direction of the current that we call as drift velocity. And here, the velocity we are considering is essentially the drift velocity. So the direction of the velocity and the direction of the current and also the direction of the length element are all the same. So here we can interchange the unit vector from the V to dl, and we can write this equation as naq v dl cross b. Now let us concentrate on the quantity naq v. Now since v is the velocity of the charged particles, so the charged particles move a distance v in 1 second. So the volume traversed by the charged particle in 1 second is v multiplied by a. The number of charged particles in this volume multiplied by n. The total charge in this volume is just multiplied by q. So this is the amount of charge traversing a certain cross section in 1 second. So this is basically nothing but the current. So putting that one here, we get I dl cross b. For the total force, we just need to integrate this expression. So the total force is integral of I dl cross b. This one can also be written as, if the current is constant, then I dl cross b. Again, if the magnetic field in the region is uniform or constant, that means B is uniform, then this can be written as now if we are considering a closed circuit of current, say current I is flowing present in the region, then the total force acting on this closed circuit will be 0 because integral of dl vector in this case is 0 in this case. So the magnetic force will be 0. Now this equation can also be written as you see, I have used a vector notation on the current I. Actually, current is a vector quantity. So to understand this, let us consider a simple one-dimensional straight wire through which current I is flowing. Also let lambda be the charge density in one dimension, that is charge per unit length. Say it has the unit coulomb per centimeter. Lambda is the charge density flowing through the wire, and say v is the velocity of the charged particles. So in 1 second the charge moves a distance v centimeter. So that distance multiplied by lambda will give the amount of charge traversing a certain point on the wire in 1 second. So that is basically the current. So current will be lambda v. So on the right hand side we have a vector quantity v. So current is also a vector quantity. Now this was the one dimensional case. Now let us generalize this idea to the two dimensional. For this, let us consider a two-dimensional sheet of metal. Say a current I is flowing through the sheet. The charged particles are moving with velocities v. Within this sheet, let us consider a narrow channel of width, say dl perpendicular. Through this channel, say the current flowing is di. Also, let us define two other quantities. Sigma is the charge per unit area at a certain instant. Then we can define a quantity k as di dl perpendicular. Also, k may be defined as sigma multiplied by v. You see, in both the cases, k has the unit ampere per meter. Now, let us consider an elemental area dA within this two-dimensional sheet. So, the charge in this elemental area will be sigma dA. So, the force acting on this elemental charge will be sigma dA multiplied by v cross b. Integral of this one will be the total magnetic force acting on the current flowing through the two-dimensional sheet. Now again see, since sigma v is k, we can write this as k cross b dA. So in two-dimensional, for the magnetic force for a current flowing on a two-dimensional sheet, we have this equation. Now in the three-dimensional case, let us consider again a cylindrical volume of conductor through which current I is flowing. Say v is the velocity of the charged particles, rho is the volume charge density at any instant due to the current. Then we can define a quantity J as di by dA. Also, J may be defined as rho multiplied by V. In both the cases, J has the unit ampere per meter square. Now let us consider again an elemental volume dV within the conductor. So the charge dq in it will be rho dV, and the total force, magnetic force acting on the elemental volume will be V cross B into rho dV. Again, since rho V is equals to J, so we have J cross B dV. So in the three-dimensional case, we have this equation for the magnetic force. So let us now summarize the expressions for the magnetic force for the one dimension, two dimension, and three dimension. In one dimension, we have the magnetic force in two dimension. We have the magnetic force in three dimension. We have the magnetic forces okay. Now see, magnetic force is called as no work force. Let us see why. So we have the magnetic force as q v cross b. Now say the charged particle moving with velocity v has traversed the distance say, dl in time dt. So dl may be written as v dt. So now the work done by the magnetic force, if any, may be written as dot dl. So this is simply q v cross b dot v dt. This may be written as using vector identity. Again, this can be written as so you see v cross v is 0. So the work done by the magnetic force is 0. This is always the case in any situation. The students may sometimes be tempted in certain experimental situations, but believe me, it is always the case that the work done by the magnetic force is 0. Physically, this is only because the effect of the magnetic field is only to change the direction of motion of the charged particles. So, as the force applied on the charged particle is always at right angles because of this cross product, so the motion due to the magnetic force will always be at right angle to the actual motion. So the work done will always be 0. Now continuity equation of current. Again, let us consider a cylindrical conductor, and within this, again, a portion of the conductor in between these two dotted circles. Say the total surface defined in this section is S, that includes this curved cylindrical surface plus the two-dimensional surfaces at these two cross sections, and the volume of this entire region is V. Say J is the current density due to the current flowing through the conductor, and dA perpendicular is the cross-sectional area of the cylindrical conductor. So we can write current as the surface integral of J dot dA perpendicular, which is nothing but J dA perpendicular. Now, if we want to calculate the total current flowing out of this shaded region, then what we will do is we will just perform a closed surface integral of J over dA perpendicular. So using Gauss's divergence theorem, this may be written as divergence J dV. This is nothing but the net current flowing out of the surface of this shaded region. So now if we consider that this conductor is a isolated system, then the flow of this current out of this shaded region will create a depletion of charge carriers within this region. Say if rho T is the volume charge density at a certain instant of time, then the total charge flowing out per second will be simply del rho del T, and volume integral of this quantity will be simply the current flowing out of this shaded region. Now, as by convention we are considering that the current is flowing out, So this del rho del t must be negative. That means with time the charge density will decrease. So let us equate these two quantities. So we will get divergence J dV equals to volume integral of now, as the volume considered is arbitrary, so we can equate the integrands. So this is the well-known continuity equation. Now, what do we mean by steady current? By steady current, we mean that suppose a current I is flowing in a closed circuit, then by steady current we mean that the current I will remain constant at each point on the circuit and also at any time. That means there will be no accumulation of charge or no depletion of charge at any region on the conductor. So that directly means del rho del t will be 0, the rate of change of the volume charge density with time. So from the continuity equation we directly get divergence J equals to 0. This is basically the condition for a steady current.